The gentlelady from Texas, the floor is yours for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Madam Ranking Member. Secretary Noem, thanks for being here. Appreciate it. I'm proud to represent my border community of El Paso, Texas. Born and raised there, third generation border resident. My kids are fourth generation. I have a lot of questions, and I've structured them in a way that they should be simple yes or no. So I'm going to ask that you please respond as simply as possible so I can get through as many of my questions as possible. My first question is, when the Department of Homeland Security makes a mistake, will you assure this committee and Congress that DHS, that you will acknowledge that mistake, take accountability for it, and rectify it, most importantly?
Yes.
Thank you. And I'll follow back up with that question. I want to first, one of the first topics I want to talk about is what President Trump said recently: homegrowns are next. And I'd like to enter into the record an NPR story. Homegrowns are next. Trump hopes to deport and jail U.S. citizens abroad. I was happy to hear your acknowledgement that that is not legal, but I am curious about the reconciliation bill and the appropriations requests that you will make. Will any of the funding, either through appropriations or through reconciliation, be used to execute this policy idea of Donald Trump's, which is deporting U.S. citizens abroad?
We have not deported any U.S. citizens, and so that false media narrative that you've heard out there just simply isn't true.
Well,
what I would say...
So my question, yes or no, will the reconciliation or
and the
appropriations
dollars
be used for that?
The reconciliation dollars that we've asked for is $175 billion that will be focused and is reflected
But
in
yes
what the
or no,
president
will it be
released.
used for those purposes which Donald Trump acknowledged?
We're going to continue to use the authorities and follow the Constitution to implement policies.
All right,
that will make
reclaiming
sure
my time. I'd like to now focus on U.S. citizens who were deported. In fact, 3 children so far, likely more children. One of those children with cancer who was deported without the medication necessary to address that child's cancer, again, a U.S. citizen. The lawyers have said that they were not given, the family was not given an opportunity to make plans for the kids. And so they were deported, essentially, again, U.S. citizens. I have a question about the forms that ICE is supposed to utilize when engaging with parents who have children, the parents who are being deported, and the U.S. citizen children. One of those forms is ICE Form 71-078, or the Caregiver Designation at Arrest form. Were any of the individuals who were deported, who had U.S. citizen children deported with them, were they given an opportunity to sign that form?
When these, the specific cases that you're referencing with these children, it was the parents' choice to take their children with them.
Did ICE
Which it is the
follow
policy
through
of the
on the
Trump
policy?
administration to keep families together.
Ma'am, reclaiming my time. I told you at the top of this, ma'am, reclaiming my time. I said that the questions are really simple, yes or no. Was that form used in any of those cases?
I will get back to you on that specific form.
Perfect.
I don't know the number, but I do know these mothers went on the record.
The second form, ma'am, reclaiming my time. Ma'am, please, ma'am, reclaiming my time. I'd like you to avoid the filibuster so I can get to all my questions, please.
Answering your questions.
So the second ICE form that I'd like to ask you about is ICE Form 71-76, which is also it's pre-removal parental interests election form. Can you get back to me on that? Were all of the parents allowed to sign that? Are the parents allowed to speak to lawyers before they're deported, or to speak to their U.S. citizen spouses before they're deported?
They are given the opportunity.
Okay, so you can guarantee that every one of those parents.
We followed all the normal policies and procedures.
So they were allowed to talk to a lawyer. That's a yes.
As it is authorized.
Is that a yes? That's a yes.
Everything was handled appropriately and correctly.
Did they all get to talk to a lawyer? Okay, reclaiming my time.
Under the policy.
Mr. Chairman, unfortunately, I'm out of time. I have a number of other questions we'll get to in the next round. Thank you.